we have been speaking about Elijah and how God dries the brook. Now, when God dries the brook, Elijah, being sensitive to God, hears God directing his path. That's very important, right? When you take your blessings for granted and you take life easy, we tend to get dull in our hearing with God. But Elijah connected back to God. He heard the voice of God, and God tells him to move on. And God leads him to a place called Zarephath. In verse 9 onwards, God tells him that, see, I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. Now, at Zarephath, okay, it was an unbelieving place. People who did not call on the God of Elijah. Very unusual place, right? What makes it even more unusual is God tells a widow. God opens the door through a widow to be a blessing to Elijah. So, when you think about how God can bless you, remember one thing is God will use unusual people, unusual places to turn to be a blessing to you. Don't look to some place or thing and feel as per your mindset. Always be sensitive to God. He uses the widow, and then it says she was an unbeliever. Why? Because when she speaks to Elijah, she says, your God. Now, she being a widow, we also know that she was going through her own difficulty. She was going through her own lack. When she speaks to Elijah, when you open to 1 Kings 17 verse 10, it says, so he arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, indeed a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, please bring me a little water. Now, in famine, he's asking for water in a cup, and that I may drink. And she was going to get it. He called to her and said, please bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. And then she says, very interesting, she says, as the Lord your God lives, I do not have bread, only a handful of flour in a bin and a little oil in a jar. And see, I am gathering a couple of sticks, and I may go in and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. She is preparing a last meal to eat and die. She is going through her own lack. But God sends Elijah to this widow, not just to have a drink or to eat from her house, but now to become a blessing in her life. You see, from verse 1 onwards till verse 7, we see Elijah by the brook enjoying the blessing. But now God does not want him to only enjoy the blessing. God deliberately dries the brook and moves him from there to Zarephath, now to become a blessing. We need to understand that if you are blessed by the Lord, God does not want you to just be blessed, but also to be a blessing. You see, though it looked like Elijah went to be fed by the widow at Zarephath, but we also look from another perspective. He went to become a blessing to the widow at Zarephath. Today I want to challenge you who's watching. Don't just enjoy your blessing. Be a blessing. Look to God's direction. God will definitely lead you as you're sensitive to His voice. He will create situations and direct your path of where you need to be a blessing. And I tell you, you will surely see the favor of God overwhelm you as you pour out your life to be a blessing to others. God bless you.